Welcome back everyone to the video. Today we are back for another NFL player prediction video. Today talking about Justin Fields. At the very beginning of this series, Justin was someone that I was really looking forward to talking about out of all other 32 players I had mapped out, because there's kind of a lot that goes into talking about the Bears this season, especially Justin Fields, some of the pros, some of the cons, some big offensive changes for them, which I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about when I refer to that. But anyway, I'm super excited to get into it. So I want to start this out by just kind of having a stats up here. Obviously, you guys, if you've seen one of these videos before, you know how this goes. Just going to recap some of last year, then go and talk about, of course, what that means for this upcoming season. Now, Justin Fields, I think, I'm just going to say right off the bat, gets way too much hate. He has a ton of potential. His rushing ability is off the charts. He's not even a bad passer. He just didn't have a lot to work with and zero O-line. And so I guess now when he started running, started getting hate for it, and the whole running back jokes. I don't know. I don't get it personally. I think Justin Fields has incredible potential and can easily be a franchise quarterback for the Bears. And I'm going to get into why later on, but I just wanted to preface this entire video by saying that I do believe in Justin Fields. So last year, let's get into this. First game, you win in the crazy rain game against the 49ers, and that kind of set the tone for the season, but you go on a bit of a losing streak a few games later, and then a win, and then you lose out. And so I'm not sure if you guys have seen the famous tweet where I still think there's a lot to kind of get out of what we have here. So first off, as far as passing goes, Fields passed for the most yards against the Packers. We're at 254 passing yards with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and they lost. He threw for 200 again earlier in the season against Minnesota for 208 with 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. And also back that Packers game, he did have a rushing touchdown as well. So again, he's not passing for a bunch of yards a game, but you really have to watch the games. You got to watch the highlights. You got to kind of watch that to see why that is and what the Bears offense is really like, because Justin Fields' O-line last year was not very good. They even went out and drafted Darnell Washington, which I think is huge for just kind of starting to build around him and commit to Justin Fields. But yeah, this looks pretty bad. But again, there's a lot that goes into it. Miami, he honestly did great. He threw for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and also ran for 178 yards and 1 touchdown. That is unbelievable. I can't remember how many fantasy points that was, but I remember that was absolutely crazy because that was, yeah. Anyway, they lost by 3 in that game, and again, very exciting game to watch, and a great game of Justin Fields. And so if you really look at this, though, so let's go to rushing right here. If you really look at it, I'm going to try to phrase it. It didn't look like they really committed to him wanting to be a rusher consistently until like week 6 or so, or week 7, which is really funny because he ended the season with, I think, like 68 yards away from the record, and he didn't even play 2 games and didn't even rush as consistently as he did for the first like 6, which is, if you really think about that, really, really insane, because you got to think the Lamar Jackson MVP season when he broke that record previously held by Michael Vick, and now Fields did it just kind of casually running for his life. And I mean, his vision is honestly incredible. I want to kind of note that as well. His ability to keep his eyes downfield while he's running, and a lot of times, stuff isn't open, but he just finds a way to get yards off of plays where it looks absolutely busted as if he's going to lose 5. It's really crazy to watch. And so that's really all the recap I want to kind of do, because again, he didn't have a great season as far as passing yards go, and he did give the ball away some. But again, you got to know what he had to work with. Rushing, I think it's pretty undisputed. It was, off the charts. I think no one really expected that, but honestly incredible. And so now time to talk about, though, this season, and that's what I'm really excited about, because I did a video going over 5 players I thought could have a breakout season, and I did not put Justin Fields on that video I did. And also, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But also, in that video, I said that these weren't like the top 5. These are just 5 players I think could break out. If you guys want to see me do another one with 5 more players I think could break out, I'll be happy to do that. But I didn't have Fields on it because I just didn't think to put him on that video. But also because I wanted to kind of keep that for this individual video, because I think going over 5 players in a video and having Fields in it doesn't really do him justice, because he deserves a longer form video like this to really go over everything when it comes to everything he has to work with, his coaching, what he had last year, what he'll have this year. So let's go to the depth chart for this season, because obviously the player everybody's going to be talking about, other than, of course, Justin Fields, is DJ Moore. Now, as a Panthers fan, Bears and Panthers fans have been going at it a little bit, which honestly I don't really understand because I don't think the trade was that bad, in my opinion. Like, for us to get the first overall pick, I think Carolina did fine, so I don't know. I'm not sure where all that's coming from. DJ Moore's a great receiver, and the Bears got a great receiver. For whatever reason, league-wide, he is super underrated, never gets any media attention, but this dude has put up incredibly consistent seasons with not very good quarterbacks. Like, if Fields continues to grow as a passer, he will easily end up becoming his best, DJ Moore's best quarterback he's ever played with, because you got Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, there's not a great list. PJ Walker, it's just like, if he can get a proven quarterback giving the ball, he could be a top 10 receiver in the league, and I really do believe that. But Justin Fields now, so running back Deontay Foreman, they signed from Carolina as well. You get DJ Moore in the trade. You have Darnell Mooney. You trade for Chase Claypool last year, and then you have Cole Kmet. Now, looking at this, I'm not going to lie. I don't like Chase Claypool very much, the way he fits in with this. I don't think he's very productive at all. I think he'll have a cool play here and there, get you down the field sometimes, but as a receiver that you can count on to really make plays, I don't think that's Chase Claypool, honestly. I like St. Brown more than Claypool, personally, but I guess we'll see how that goes. But again, this is Justin Fields' new offense going into this year, and I think something I also need to address in this video is that as of, I think, just a few days ago, Justin Fields had said that he plans on passing for 4,000 yards this year and being the first quarterback in Bears history to do so. Now, I'm going to keep it real. That is definitely the mindset a athlete should have. You step on the field, you're instantly the best player on the field. You have to act like that. You have to play like that because that's where your confidence comes from. You're not going to come into the season saying, oh, yeah, I'm not very confident in my passing ability. 4,000 yards, that's a great goal for Fields to have. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But here's what I will say, because I did a tier list video ranking all the teams in the league going into this year as far as S tier, A tier, all that kind of stuff. And I put the Bears, I think, the 5 to 7 win mark, which some people liked, some people didn't like. I had a Bears fan comment and say he did agree with that, but of course the ceiling is much higher. Personally, I think you land around 7 wins. I think in that 5 to 7 window, you land the higher end of it. And again, not saying you can't go higher than that, but I just think a realistic step from last year to this year would be from the 3 wins to the 7 wins. And you still put together a very respectable year, but just not all of it coming together in 1 year. But again, the Bengals, they were terrible. You draft Joe Burrow, he's hurt. The following season, you go to the Super Bowl after they had been horrible for the past 5 or 6 years. So, crazier things have happened. In my opinion, I don't think they take that big step. But this is not a Bears video. This is a Justin Fields video, and I do think Justin Fields is going to take a massive step. I don't think 4,000 yards massive step, but, going back to what he passed for this past season, it was 2,242 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. I think he can get around the 3,500 mark. I think that's kind of the ceiling for this year for him as far as passing goes. I honestly think it's very possible for another 1,000-yard rushing year, but again, that does kind of depend on what they want him to be doing. If they don't want to be running, taking all these hits and stuff, then they'll probably try and make him more of a passer, which would make sense. Why they got DJ Moore, why they drafted an O-line helper. Well, really, you needed that regardless, but still, I do think that would make more sense if you're going to try and not have him running as much to, reduce the risk of injuries. But 4,000 yards, I think, is a little rich of an estimate, but I do think Fields is very capable. If everything, really kind of comes together, he takes that next step. He really utilizes DJ Moore. You get to 3,500 passing yards, probably 25 touchdowns, and who knows for interceptions. But I think 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns would be a phenomenal step for Justin Fields after this year. Something I also want to talk about here is that looking back at the depth chart, so last year it was all talked about the Fields and Mooney connection, and it didn't really work like that. They had some good plays, they had some touchdowns. You had the Darnell Mooney one-handed catch against the Vikings, or his touchdown catch against, I think, the Dolphins, another one against the Falcons. He had some great plays, but he's not really wide receiver number 1, in my opinion. I think he's a super dynamic receiver who will make crazy plays, but I don't think he's reliable enough to be a wide receiver number 1. However, maybe I'm biased. I don't think I am, but DJ Moore, that is a wide receiver 1 that you can count on to put up consistent numbers because he's been doing it since whenever he came to the league, I think 2018. So going into his 5th, 4th, 6th year now, whatever it is. I do think that Darnell Mooney trying to fit the wide receiver 1 role is a little too much for him, and also just not fair to Fields because that's not a true wide receiver number 1. But if you move Mooney down to wide receiver number 2, That's not as good as like T. Higgins as a wide receiver 2, but that's a very, very solid wide receiver 2 across the entire league. So I want to make that very clear too. I think that DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney as wide receivers 1 and 2 are very, very solid weapons. And I will say that, Fields has got some slack as far as, not producing or kind of playing poorly. A lot of it was, he doesn't have a lot to work with, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. And I do agree with that. And I'm not saying that doesn't, that's invalidated. I think that is very valid. But now you trade for DJ Moore. You have another season under your belt. You nearly break the rushing yards. You pass a lot better than you did the previous year. Like, he's kind of making the steps here. So if he doesn't really take another step, you got to start questioning whether Fields can do it long term. And again, personally, I think he can. I think his ability to extend plays is absolutely incredible because of what he had to work with plays constantly breaking down. Him being able to get 15 yards after 2 guys hit him behind the line of scrimmage is unbelievable. And I think if you're able to strengthen that O-line, you bring DJ Moore, you don't have to be running for your life all the time. He can actually focus on being a passer. Because I think his passing ability is very underrated. He had some great deep passes last year. I think I really overshadowed by his rushing highlights. But I mean, the deep pass to Mooney, like I said, he caught with one hand. I'm not sure if it was Mooney or someone else. I think it was against the Lions where it was like a really great pass. I mean, I think it's all there for Fields. It's just a matter of if it can all be put together this season. Personally, I think it will be. I think he does take a big step. I know this isn't really like a hot take because a lot of people have Fields like a breakout player, but I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of people also think Fields is not a good quarterback. And he's more of the running back stereotype. And while his rushing ability, I think, is better than almost any other quarterback in the league, he, I think, is very underrated as a passer. And I think now that he has DJ Moore, you can kind of push Mooney to a smaller but still more fit role for what he can do. I think you do a lot of great things this year. And I think Cole Kmet also got a lot better as the season went on. His connection with Justin Fields got a lot better. And again, it's going to be interesting to see what they do as far as if they keep rushing Fields or if they try and kind of reduce that a little bit, maybe save it for like third downs to catch people off guard. Because, you want to save his career because the more hits he takes, that's going to catch up to him at some point. Speaking from being a huge Cam Newton fan, I mean, you guys can watch his prime highlights. He was absolutely incredible. But some of those hits, the shoulder injury, the car wreck, sometimes, I mean, just a little unlucky, the car wreck and everything, but also taking those hits and lowering the shoulder and then, having to throw on it however many times a game, it does catch up to you. So hopefully Fields does not also fall into that category because he's an incredible player to watch. I think he's very overhated on it. I'm not sure where all the hate comes from. So I think he is phenomenal. But you always see people saying like, not a good passer, not this, not that. I think Fields is going to do a lot of great things this year. And personally, like I said, 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns. I think that would be a very good season. Even if you do only get like that 7 wins, that is a huge proven step that he is going in the right direction. I think as of right now he is. But this season, there's a lot riding on it with bringing in DJ Moore, feeling more accomplished, having a lot more hype going into the year after the year he just had rushing-wise. So there's going to be a lot of attention on Justin Fields. But guys, that is going to do it for the video. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to subscribe button for, I guess this player series continuing. I think we're down to our last 12 players, I want to say. 13, somewhere around there. Once this series is done, we will be doing a team prediction series. Way more in-depth, going over the entire team, offense and defense and coaching and schedule and all that kind of stuff. Those will all be done before the season starts. I promise that, even if it requires me doing daily uploads, or sorry, 2 videos a day. Sometimes I'll do that too. Madden viewers, I think 23 days till the new Madden. So of course, whenever that comes out, I'll be doing that again. But it's always NFL content on the channel one way or another. So be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Also, real quick before the end of the video, the next tier list video will be wide receiver rankings, and that should be out later this week. So be on the lookout for that. I know you guys always love the tier list videos. Thank you for all the support on my ranking NFL teams. Going into this year, tier list video you guys seem to love. It's up to like 2,000, I think 500 views, which is really, really good for my channel. So thanks for all that. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.